Hello, everyone. Coming up, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why you should visit Universal Orlando in 2020. So we have that plus so much more fun. From the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 243 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is also brought to you by Dizboards.com. If you're looking for even more information to help you plan your Universal Orlando vacation, head over to Dizboards.com and join the discussion today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host, Craig Williams, and today I am joined alongside by my co-host, Mr. Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
And then back on our controls, we have Corey Fiascanaro.
Hey, guys.
I'm not sure if he'll actually input anything into this conversation. We haven't really ever talked about Universal. Corey, do you like Universal?
So I have been to Universal. I enjoy Universal, but it's been probably about 3 or 4 years since my last trip there. So tell me why I should go back this year.
Okay, well, maybe we will tell you why you should go in 2020. But yeah, so for New Year, first show of the new year, so we figured we would try something a little different, and that's returning to the table. So it's been a while since we've been at the table for a Universal show.
For Universal, yeah.
Years. So we're getting back in the swing of things, back at the table. I think maybe we did like 1 or 2 here and there where we randomly were at the table, but I don't even remember. None of that even matters. All that matters is that it is 2020. We hope you all had a great holiday season, and you were safe. You spent time with family, friends, and now you're looking forward to a brand new year, just like we are. And happy birthday, Ryno. Happy belated.
Thank you.
Happy belated.
Yes.
Of course, he's the New Year's baby.
I am the New Year's baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the film about me starring Jim Carrey.
I haven't, actually.
It was a 30 Rock joke. There's like a fake movie on 30 Rock that's about the New Year's baby, and I think Jim Carrey stars in it on that. That was a really deep cut. Sorry.
Does that affect your present getting?
Does it what?
Affect you getting presents, New Year's baby?
It does. Oh. Massively, actually. Yeah. So it's fine. I've come to accept it at the ripe old age of 35 now. I remember when I turned 30. It was back on the first Universal show I was on. It wasn't then, but it was
we did not
around then. But I remember it was close to my birthday, and I'm like, it's weird.
That is weird. But happy birthday. Thanks for being here. And I'd say let's kick off 2020 with a great show. So as you might remember from the cold open, on this episode, we're going to talk about 5 reasons you should visit Universal Orlando in 2020. And this list could change. So if you're watching this, halfway through 2020 and like, wow, there's a new restaurant coming later this year. There's a new attraction that's coming later this year. Why didn't you have that on your list? Well, things evolve. So we're just talking about in this moment as of now, as we're doing this, 5 things that we think are worth looking into planning a Universal Orlando vacation. Yes, you have
I made a
to
huge
say?
mistake. It was a movie about leap year.
Oh,
Sorry. I can't live with myself. There'd be people screaming at this and whatever. So back to Universal. Although technically that is a Comcast show that does appear. So
yeah, that 30 Rock.
Yeah, on NBC.
Yes, 30 Rock on NBC 10 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So those 5 reasons, I don't see why we should beat around the bush on it. Let's jump right in and let's kick things off. And the first reason I'm saying you need to visit in 2020, it's kind of a caveat in a way. It's if you weren't able to visit in 2019 or you haven't been in a while. And I guess that could even stretch to if you've never been to Universal Orlando. I think 2020 actually is a good year based on a lot of stuff that happened in 2019. And I'm not going to go into huge detail on that because if I would recommend going to our last episode of 2019, where Ryno and I recapped very quickly everything that happened in 2019 and our short thoughts on it. I would actually suggest that you go all the way back through our archives and listen to everything in painstaking detail and get the information that way. But there was a lot that happened in 2019, but I really don't want to dredge on and on about it. But I think the one thing that has to be mentioned right off the bat is Hagrids, Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. And, we talked about it so much last year on the show. We talked about it on that last episode of the year and have to bring it up now because it is, as of right now, it is still the marquee attraction that you are going to Universal Orlando to experience. And, it is a wild, fun time. So I know Disney's doing things down the road that are also really amazing right now. But in terms of Universal, the direction that they were going with their attractions, and then when they just kind of did a nice plant on the ground and did a 360 with Hagrids, like it is worth getting over there to check out. So it's perfect. It's a family-friendly roller coaster. It blends animatronics, live action scenery, it just kind of hits everything that you could want. And
there's not a single screen in that ride, is there?
Well, technically in the pre-show.
Well, we don't count that because every pre-show, I feel like, kind of has one. But yeah. Well, no, I have a family member that's in town right now, and she was like, I was worried. I just had to check my phone because I'm worried. I misread a text this morning that she wasn't going to go to Universal this week, and I was about to talk her, being like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. You've got to go. Yeah. And not because this is the Universal show, but because I do love Universal. But the first thing I thought of when I was thinking, like, oh, you've got to go is Hagrid's. That was the first thing where I was like, I know that your daughter is going to love it. So I'm like, you've got to go,
Exactly. And I'm even going to add, even though we're going to talk about a hotel later on in this show, I'm going to have to add in too the fact that Surfside Inn and Suites opened up this past summer, opening so many hotel rooms at a true value price at Universal. Granted, it is not on the main campus of Universal. It is across the street. And, we talked about it on our review of Endless Summer Surfside Inn and Suites. The bus ride, we had one so-so bus ride, and then the other one I think it was an 8-minute experience back and forth between the two areas. So, but the important part there is the pricing that you get from that hotel. Having, when you're seeing rates that can be for a standard room being into like below $100 if you book enough nights, or just hovering around that $100 range, and suites that are coming in right in the mid 100s, like that's not bad. That's not bad at all. No, you're going to be hard pressed to find a hotel in a lot of areas in Orlando for that price point that are that clean and that well kept up, and also right beside a destination. So it's, if you have been one of those people that are like, well, I want to come to Orlando, I have to stay off site if I want to visit Disney or Universal because that's what my budget will basically allow. That's that option that you can say now. Well, for Disney, you might have to still stay off-site, but for Universal, take a look at this because it might actually be in your budget that you can have an on-site stay still.
Yeah, I saw that resort review you guys did earlier in the year that was kind of like the beachy theme hotel over at Universal. What was the value on that? I don't remember.
Oh,
I want to say the suite we stayed in was around $200, less than $200.
Let me see if I can pull up my email from it. I know I have the receipts somewhere here. As dorky as that sounds, but
I did recommend it to somebody though. They were like, "Oh, do you know of any deals or anything like that?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't work for the parks anymore. I don't have that sort of thing." But I was like, one, I know a travel agency that'll help you out. But I said, and I think if you're staying at Universal, one of the places I would personally recommend was, if you're looking to save a little bit of money, because I know they're kind of all day theme park people. So part of it I always say fold in that, idea. How much are you going to experience the resort? What do you want amenities wise, but I said in the summer would be a great one to check out. I said Endless Summer, Sapphire Falls. I also enjoy, but
So our Surfside Inn and Suites stay, we only stayed one night while we were doing our review there for it, and it was technically a seasonal rate because it was just opening up and it wasn't, into the entire hotel wasn't thrust into the busy season yet. Our 2-bedroom suite that sleeps up to 6 people was pre-tax $149
Wow.
for one night.
yeah,
That is
So-
really good.
Yeah, no, it was very good. And after taxes, I want to say it was around $165, $170, and that's with a one night stay. As soon as you start really staying at Universal, at least 4 nights, give or take on average, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of the pricing that they will advertise, where you can stay at a lower cost level. And definitely, if you're staying like 7 nights, that's when you're going to see the advertised rates they do during a value season. Not during peak season, everything's going to be higher up. But for if you're looking at value season, then you might get a good room rate. I might have also had Florida Resident on there too, so I can't find that. But I want to be clear about that too, because I'm not looking at my thing.
Find that
I can't
episode,
find
and I know you talk about it in the episode.
Yeah.
So if you want all that information about what discount was applied or whatever, it's in that episode.
You know what,
for sure.
Ryno? That's a good point. Thank you for helping keeping me on track with this. So yeah, those I think were the 2 highlights of 2019 in terms of new additions that are definitely reasons why you should check out Universal now in 2020, for sure. And the next point that we have in this, though, this is kind of a really big guess on my part, and this is without me looking at any websites like touring plans or such that predict crowds in the future. But I have a feeling that at Universal in 2020 that there's going to be some times of the year where crowds will actually be very, very manageable. And if you're looking for a nice theme park vacation without dealing with the zaniness, then Universal actually might be a great option. And just on an average day, traveling to Universal Orlando, it already is a better option in a lot of ways versus Disney. And I'm saying that as a person that I do not care for planning. I like to show up at the last second and just live my life and see what happens. And as I find out about stuff, that's when I start to make plans. So Walt Disney World is not in the current state that it's in, it's not a destination that if I didn't live in Florida that I would be happy about traveling to. But something like Universal Orlando, where I can show up, and if it's a busy day, maybe throw on express passes. Or think about it, if it's my one trip in a while, then maybe I'll stay at that higher tier hotel so I get free express thrown in. But the reason I'm kind of leaning towards that Universal might be a little bit more manageable throughout the year is I have a feeling that the tide is really going to shift over to Disney in 2020. And the one part about that is if business is good at Disney, it's also good at Universal.
Yeah.
And so the crowds who come to Disney, they will still come over to Universal as well. Not all of them, obviously, but a portion of people will still come over to Universal as well too. But the fact is, this year over at Walt Disney World, Rise of the Resistance just opened up. You have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure opening later this year. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Mm-hmm. By the end of, by summertime in 2020, people might need that extra day or two over at Disney that maybe before they would throw over to Universal that now they might not. So, it's, again, this is all just a complete blatant guess, but I think there's going to be a lot more slower times at Universal that you can find more manageable. And then again, like I said, the fact is you don't have to plan what attractions you're doing when you're doing them.
Yeah.
Months out from your vacation like
I
you
do
have
love
to do
that
at
about
Walt
Universal.
Disney World. You just show up.
Yeah, you can just kind of be like, I'm in the mood to go do this, or I want to wait for this today. It's just, you can kind of just fly by the seat of your pants there a little bit better.
Exactly.
I feel like it removes a level of stress.
It does. It removes a lot of the stress.
Something I just thought of, and I don't know if it's still there because it was so long ago. I'd say probably like 11 years ago that I went there and got a tattoo. But can you still get tattoos in City Walk?
You sure can, Benny. I got one right here.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
I got one too, like 11 years ago ish. Yeah.
At Harton Huntington.
Harton Huntington, yes. And the guy who gave me my lightning bolt tattoo no longer works there.
I was going to say.
But it is a very expensive place to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive.
I was going to say, no free advertising.
No.
You can advertise the shop. Don't advertise the tattoo artist.
They've
They've got to pay us royalties for that.
Because he already has a way... it's impossible to book a tattoo with this guy anymore.
Well, good. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know for all you people out there. But yeah, no, Harden Huntington is still there, and you can still get your tattoos, and then walk right across the way, grab a sandwich at Breadbox, and then head down the stairs and get some menchies. Because who doesn't love a good froyo?
Yeah.
I do love... I've always loved Menchie's, yeah.
Okay. I just need
Big
to
fan.
make sure.
No, big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Okay, so the next reason why we think you should visit, please don't laugh when I say this because it's still not open yet, so we can't say, but I think it's still, anytime something new is opening up, it's still worth getting at least slightly excited about. And that is the Bourne Stuntacular, which will be opening up this spring. Oh, Ryno's saying, why did you put that on the list? You didn't include Mardi Gras, but you put Bourne Stuntacular on the list?
That's the part. I don't know.
Well, as of right now, when we're recording this, it'll probably happen the day after we record it, so that when Mardi Gras lineup comes out.
I am shocked it wasn't, because I just Googled it. I'm shocked because I was like, I'm surprised we don't know a single concert when it starts on February 1st.
Yeah, it'll be literally right after we record this. So we know when next week's episode is going to be, at least, doing our annual rundown over the artists and scoffing and saying, I think I know them, but I'm not sure that I do actually know them.
Is that you hoping there'll be a ska band there?
Oh, terrible. Terrible joke there. But the Bourne Stuntacular, of course, the new stunt show experience that is filling the former space of Terminator 2 3D based on the Jason Bourne series of films. And it's, again, it's probably not going to be that exciting. I have a feeling that when it was actually greenlit a long time ago in a galaxy known as Earth. Wait, what's our galaxy?
The Milky Way?
We're the Milky Way. Yeah. So why don't I just cancel that entire statement? I feel like when they made the decision to do Bourne Stuntacular, that it was kind of during that same time period where a lot of the decisions about Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon and Fast and Furious Supercharged
Somebody
were being
was
made.
drunk at work every day, like being like, they'll never take this one. Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
And they're like, they took that one.
One day and years ahead, they will talk about that time period at Universal the same way like all the Pixar team talked about. Yeah, we sat down and had the lunch meetings and came up with stories for Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, and all these classic films. They're going to say the same thing at Universal. We sat down one day, had too many drinks, and came up with Jimmy Fallon Supercharged as a standalone attraction at Universal Orlando and the Bourne Stuntacular.
I'd like to think Bourne was the first one on that list. Then they were like, well, Fast and the Furious, or maybe even Fast and the Furious. Then they're like, well, what other jazzed up franchise do we have? And they're like, Bourne? And they're like, but there's nothing going on. And they're like, maybe we'll get a show on USA at some point that'll maybe tie in. Who knows yet? And then somebody, like 3 more martinis in, somebody's like, I'm going to pitch one and nobody's going to take it. Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. All joking aside with it, though, I think I am happy that Universal is keeping stunt shows in the park. Even though Universal, especially Universal Studios Florida now, is about immersing yourself into the movies, I still like that it at least keeps a little bit of the original spirit of the park alive, and that is looking at how movies are made. And no, it's not a stunt show in the same sense of Indiana Jones, where they're showing you every step of the way and really taking you into that. But
I'm really over that stunt show, to be 100% honest with you. So I am interested to see what Universal has in store for that.
It's letting you look in real time, watching it, seeing how, this stunts are done in movies, not all the time with just CGI. There are still
Look
real
at all the
stunt
Mission
workers.
Impossible movies.
Exactly. So to see it, to be sitting in a room where you can watch these stunt performers actually doing it live. Like, even if it's not the most impressive stuff, they're still putting themselves at risk at any point in time for something to go wrong. So I have an appreciation for that. It helps me actually appreciate it more when you see it in movies and you know it's not just CGI being done. But then the way they're going to blend other technology into this show, I feel like even though it might not be worth, like, it might not be worth saying, I'm going to come down solely to get inside the Bourne Stuntacular, like what you might have said with Hagrids. Hagrids, I do believe, was
not everything has
a reason.
to be that, though.
Yeah, not everything has to be, but I think it's one of those things. Like, if you come after it's open, definitely check it out. I think it's one of those extra pluses that, you know, Universal doesn't have to put out a new attraction every single year, but they do it. And
I do appreciate it always feels very fresh there.
Yeah.
And that is something I think maybe like 10 years ago you wouldn't have said. You know, the park started to feel like dated or so. I don't know, maybe not, maybe more than 10 years ago, I guess. But, you know, so I think that's kind of the turn the corner on. They're always rotating, always using that area of land that they have, you know?
Yeah. No, I know. And it is wild. The Wizarding World is over 10 years old now. So
Good Lord.
it's nuts.
No.
Or it will be 10 years old this year. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because that was June 18th, 2010, June 17th, 2010, right around there. You were here for the grand opening, right?
No. Oh, I lived in Florida.
Yeah, you lived in Florida.
Yeah, because I went I think I went in like the end of July or something like that for the first time or something. I remember I went like about a month or two after it opened.
Because
I definitely lived here.
I moved to Florida August of 2010, and it was just opened up at that point. So, yeah, I know it was in June. I just don't remember if it was...
No,
well,
okay,
that is Hollywood. Yeah, you were looking up the date for Hollywood, but wow, that's a... Why do you keep looking up the Hollywood?
I wrote the word Florida. I wrote Florida in here. It chooses not to tell me. It was June 18th, 2010. You said that.
June 18th, 2010.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's another reason why to visit the 10th anniversary of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
I'm sure they might.
That's
who knows?
wild.
Maybe they'll do something fun, little something nice on that day.
I would hope so. So that is the area that turned around that park. And is still one of the most impressive parts of Universal Orlando to this day.
Yeah,
so
still, it holds up very well.
Yeah.
10 years later.
I agree.
So those people, those naysayers that were like, oh, yeah, but will this hold in, 20 or 30 years? And I think Harry Potter is our generation's Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I think...
You just read that off the back of the cover of Sorcerer's Stone.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I actually did. Yeah.
No, I know. The DVD.
Was it Peter Travers who said it?
I don't
know. But somebody said that, and I do agree with that sentiment. That I do think that...
Oh, indubitably.
In terms of like the books with the movie, all of it rolled together, it is something special like The Wizard of Oz that is still with us very presently today.
No, I agree 100%. So moving on to the next reason why, we already talked a lot about Surfside and Suites. The Endless Summer Hotel that is at value pricing. Well, its sister resort is going to open up on March 17th, 2020, and that is Universal's Endless Summer Resort Dockside Inn and Suites, which is literally just right across the street from the hotel. They're basically right up on each other kissing, but
kissing sisters.
Yeah.
What is the other one? The brother?
We'll call them
or
cousins.
Two sisters.
They're
kissing cousins.
Yeah.
Okay,
that is an Elvis Presley movie. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It is fantastic.
Ew.
It is wild. So it's a real good throwback. No, not for you. That's fine. But yeah, Dockside Inn and
Flowers in
Suites.
the Attic, maybe.
Well, Dockside Inn.
I'm sorry.
Well, Dockside Inn and Suites is going to have quite the opening day. Opening up on St. Patrick's Day, there better be some green beer flowing there.
Oh man,
green eggs and
St.
ham.
Patrick's Day. Yeah.
We'll see if we're there for it. So maybe go the day after. Just because to us St. Patrick's Day is an important religious holiday.
I didn't mean to laugh
joking.
in the face of you saying a religious.
No, I don't. While I celebrate in spirit like so many other people, I don't
it's
have
a Tuesday this year too.
I don't have a lick of Irish in me.
Oh, I do. I'm mostly Irish,
Yeah.
so
No, I don't. I've kissed an Irish person, but that's as far as I've gone.
It was me.
It's me, Jessica. But yeah, no. So Dockside Inn and Suites, it's just an addition of extra rooms at that value level pricing. So I think we already spoke a lot about how much of a benefit that is for people who are on a value budget, that you have this resort open and at that price point. But now we're just adding extra rooms.
You know
at this
what
price.
I love about these two resorts, though, about the whole idea of like these resorts are kind of the pricing that was going with Sapphire Falls, was that sometimes I feel like with Disney, and I'm not bashing Disney or anything here, but it's kind of like every time something comes out and there's like a price increase and whatever, and you're just like, this is the new normal. You have to accept it. And this is life. And I think like, oh, it's so priced out. And it's like what Universal did by creating these hotels was like a step back and being like, not everything has to price everybody out. That they were like, we want to make sure there is still space for people that do, we understand this is an expensive experience, and we want to make sure that there is still an area for folks that, that like, maybe you're a larger family and you have to, so, that costs you exponential. Every one person you add to a trip is like this exponential increase in the price of that trip. So it's nice that they're like, well, making a space for those people that are really being budget conscious or stuff so that they can have this experience as well.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that because it says to me that like, they're not afraid to kind of take that step down from where they go with prices.
Yeah. And the one caveat I will say, I know I said caveat like 6 times, so I guess that was your drinking word of the day on this show. Right. But just the first portion, if I'm correct on this, the first portion of Dockside Inn and Suites will be opening on March 17th. So when Surfside Inn and Suites opened up, it opened up with 750 guest rooms that included 390 2-bedroom suites, which I think that's an impressive number right there for a hotel. A lot of rooms right there. And I love the style of Surfside Inn and Suites because it feels more like Cabana Bay in terms of like the layout of the halls and the way they have the nice courtyard in the middle with the pool. And it has a different feel to it. And whereas Dockside Inn is a lot bigger, boxier, not as elegant looking at it from the outside. It looks very much kind of like a very more on the plain side in terms of architectural style. Of course, it's going to have elements that fit in with the resort, but it's not as impressive to look at from the outside. But it will have 2,050 guest rooms, incling 1,113 2-bedroom suites.
Jeez Louise.
So think about how many value rooms you are now putting on property with that. Yeah. Like, that is just bonkers. So many more people are going to be able to get these stays at these prices. And I love the concept of Dockside more than Surfside. Surfside is that beach aspect.
Which one did we go to? Surfside?
We went to Surfside.
I get confused when we talk about it too much.
And I don't like beachy sides to it. Like,
beach.
I'll put it in this perspective using the Disney side to it. I am a fan of the yacht club. I like the darker woods and a lot more wood tones more of the elegant
like sand. He's from Tatooine.
I'm more of the Cape Cod-ish type person, whereas I am not the let's drive down to Cocoa Beach and hang out for the day that I feel like
the water, but you're not taking your top off to sunbathe.
Exactly. And that's like, I feel like that's how you look at the yacht and beach over at Walt Disney World, is that the one is the more elegant, let's go sailing style, and the other is the let's go down to Cocoa and go to the pier and get bit by a jellyfish, stung by a jellyfish, bit by a crab, however you want to do it. And the same kind of concept is going in here with Surfside and Dockside. Dockside is definitely, in the concept art, it shows using a lot more wood tones. It's darker, it's a little bit more calming.
Bring your boating shoes.
So yeah, if you've got penny loafers, you better be
bring those Sperry's.
So I am personally more excited about Dockside. That is a lot of rooms in that hotel. Yeah. So hopefully it's not overwhelming.
It doesn't even look that much bigger. That's what's crazy. Is that's a significant number, I guess.
It's big.
It's big.
It's big. Don't worry. It's big. But 2 pools there, splash pad, complimentary fitness center, game room, food court, lobby bar.
So, a lobby bar. The other one only had the pool bar.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Well, I mean, you gotta get people drinks. Where are
when
they
you're-
going to get them drinks?
When you're on the dock, I guess you're away from that. You're not surfing.
They're
so
not
it's
going to
better, yeah.
KFC to get their drinks. I'll tell you that much. They might.
A nice hot cup of gravy.
That KFC will always be our inside joke because we just looked out the window at it. Maybe one day. And finally, the last reason why we think you should visit Universal in 2020, it is the 30th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights.
I cannot wait.
And of course, we don't have to say that much on this. Well, first off, there's no real information on any of the houses or anything that's to come with it, but Halloween Horror Nights is the heartbeat of Universal Orlando. In my opinion, it is. While, of course, the entire park could still operate without needing that event is, I feel like, it's that juice that really takes the entire resort to the next level. And it's only around for a short time, and 2 months of the year, but when it's there, it is just second to none. It's our favorite time of the year. We all know that. We talk about it so much. And for the 30th anniversary, it's going to be insane.
Well,
So-
I love, what I've always said, I've always loved about Universal is how, you said it earlier in the show, about how they bring you into the movies, and that Halloween Horror Nights, I mean, I know people think of the horror, but I think about the production of it, where it is bringing you into the movies like on steroids. Like it is, you are in these environments that are, some original stories, but the ones that are the houses that are the IPs are like, it's I don't know, it's something else. It's something where, if you can brave it ever, I think it's always worth. I always say I think it's worth trying, and I think a 30th anniversary, I think is going to bring us some special stuff.
Yeah, I am one of those people. I don't think I did it this past year, but there was a little bit of a time there where it's like, oh yeah, this year was better than last year, and this year was better than last year. But for me, as time has settled, I think the last time I was like, of all the years that we've been covering it now and I've been going, I think the standout year still for me is the 25th anniversary, because they went so far out for the 25th anniversary that I can only imagine what's going to happen with 30, how they're going to take it to the next level. Because if they left that much of an impression on 25, 30's plus 5, even more important.
30s.
Is that how much? Yeah, that's how math works. So, and we already have the dates right now. So it kicks off September 10th and will run on select nights through November 1st, 2020. So it's probably going to be a hopping year. So when I said that I don't think crowds will be that terrible all the time at the parks, this is definitely an exception to the rule. I would assume that Halloween Horror Nights will be just out of control this year. Just very, very busy. And add on to that, if Mardi Gras gets a good act this year, I would probably avoid those nights too. So not to bring back Mardi Gras into it, but I kind of had to.
We'll see.
We will see. But these are our 5 reasons why you should visit Universal Orlando in 2020. If you don't remember it, it's everything that happened in 2019 and even beyond that. If you haven't been in a while, come and experience that, because it's some good stuff there. 2 is hoping that the crowds won't be as terrible this year, but then again, that could all change. So don't take my word for it, but we're supposed to be somewhat of experts, so maybe do take my word for it. Number 3, Born Stuntacular, of course, whether or not you're excited for it. New stuff ain't bad. Number 4, Dockside Inn and Suites, add in all those value rooms to the resort. Get in a good price. And number 5, Halloween Horror Nights 30th anniversary. So very good. And of course, if you do need help planning your Universal vacation, obviously something like this show will help you plan Universal Orlando vacations. But if you need more help in the process of booking and making decisions, of course, we recommend using Dreams Unlimited Travel. Of course, the Diz has a relationship with it. So we are sister, like Dockside Inn and Suites and Surfside Inn and Suites.
Kissing cousins.
We are kissing cousins with Dreams Unlimited
Orange
Travel.
kissing.
And I know many of the agents that do book Universal Orlando vacations, and because I've gone to FAMs with them at Universal Orlando, and the ones who book Universal are very, very passionate. They travel there not just during our agent fams to learn more about it, but they take their own personal vacations there too because they love it. So they can help you out with the entire procedure, help you book. And remember, Dreams Unlimited Travel, it actually doesn't cost you any extra money to book a vacation. If you booked it on your own, you would most likely get the same exact price that you would get by booking through Dreams Unlimited Travel. The big difference is Dreams Unlimited Travel agents will constantly watch out for any sales, any updates that they can help save you money on your vacation for, and you don't have to do any of the work. And if you need any extra help planning, they can help you for that. So, and then of course, watch us to get that extra fun entertainment along the way too. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. As I always say on the Universal show too, if you need any extra information, go ahead and head to our show notes page at disunplugged.com for all that extra information, and you'll find links to our social media channels on there as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you get notified when we have new videos, and then leave us fun comments and hit that thumbs up button. And remember, we're going to get started back onto our answering questions at the end of every episode, which we fell off with at the end of the year, but get those questions in now. And of course, the way to do that is go down to the comments and leave your questions, and we will answer them on next week's show. We usually pick one or two. And we want to get back into the swing of that. So start asking your questions. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or Spotify, any place out there, if you can subscribe to us and then rate and review us, we would appreciate it. And if you are listening and have any questions you want to ask us too, of course, you can always feel free to reach out to us on social media, or you can also go to YouTube and just leave a comment there and then go back to not watching us and just listening. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you next week for another episode of the Dis Unplugged Universal Edition. But until then, remember, we still have not changed the name.